You are probably familiar with the thorn-producing weed, Tribulus terrestris. You might know it as puncture vine or tackweed, or you might call its thorny fruits goat heads or bullhead thorns or caltrops or cat heads or devil's eyelashes. Whatever its name, several of these plants once grew beside a little-used road. One day, an office building was constructed not far from this road, and soon it was not so little used. One employee at this office building rode his bike to work. On his first trip, he got many thorns in his tires from the plants, but after replacing the punctured tubes with more resilient tubes, and being more attentive to the plants, he rarely got thorns in his tires anymore. And when he did, they weren't much of an inconvenience. As time went on, cars using the same road helped to clear out the thorns, and soon he was encountering no thorns at all. When the winter came, he stopped biking and drove a car himself. However, when the weather got warm again, his coworker started biking. He warned his coworker of the thorns, told him how to prepare his tires, but said the thorns had stopped with all of the traffic. However, there were more plants than ever this year, and when they went to seed in the summer, thorns were once again all over the road, and despite cars and caution, the coworker got thorns in his tires that were an inconvenience. This coworker was not as willing to endure the thorns as the first employee. He went to the spot where the plants grew and through great pains and effort tore them all out. This did little to reduce the number of thorns in the road, but with time they diminished, and the coworker was satisfied that next year he would encounter no thorns with the plants removed. The coworker was surprised to realize, however, that the next summer thorns again appeared on the road. The plants had regrown, and nearly as many of them as the year before. Once again he removed them, this time making a special effort to uproot their taproots, and swept the road of thorns. His efforts were rewarded, and come the next spring he was attentive to the fact that once again the plants were growing beside the road. This time he destroyed the plants before they could go to seed, and passed his year thorn-free and satisfied that would be the last generation of the plants. But, to his surprise, the next spring brought another crop of the weed, for their seeds can grow even 3 years after being cast off. Still, the coworker was attentive and removed these too before they could go to seed. Year after year he removed the plants in early spring, but whether he missed plants or seeds carried from afar, they continued to grow, and though the coworker was patient, and though their numbers were greatly diminished, he determined that more had to be done to prevent their return. In an act of finality, the coworker paved a sidewalk through the area and planted grass alongside it. After this, the weed did not return, and he and many others were able to bike in safety ever after. What is the meaning of the parable? Unsurprisingly, I intend to apply this to Dungeons & Dragons. And so we will liken the thorn bushes and the thorns themselves to bushes to orc strongholds in the hills beside the road through which players and other people are traveling, and the thorns to orc patrols that make their way out to the road and try to rob caravans passing through. The road will be any travel road that goes to a place that adventurers and the players are interested in going to that previously hadn't been used before, and the inconvenience of the pop tires will represent the loss of resources as you encounter these orc patrols. Now the cars represent patrols and other higher level adventuring parties that can roll through this area and clear out the orcs without any problem, while the orcs still cause an inconvenience to the party that already exists. And so who is the co-worker? The character, the main character of the parable, who goes on to clear out all of these thorns. He represents a different adventuring party than the first employee. He's an adventuring party that shows up in this area and decides that he really wants to get something done here. And so he goes up into the hills, he clears out all the strongholds where the orcs are. But clearing out strongholds isn't enough. And so, once the strongholds are cleared out, the orcs return, naturally. And eventually their patrols arrive on the road again. And so he goes into the strongholds, clears them out again, does an even better job of making sure there's not any there, and they continue to return, and they continue to return, and they continue to return. And so the final act of this parable is the creation of the sidewalk with the grass on either side. This is when the player domains in the area, builds his stronghold there, and forces the orcs out once and for all, using the establishment of civilization in the area. And so in a long-running campaign, this parable represents the lengthy story that we tell, the story of attrition against the forces of evil, that yes, they can be cleared out, but they'll just return, and then they'll be cleared out, and they'll return, and then it really takes the establishment of good and order in the area to finally bring an end to this. All right, thank you for watching. As you may have noticed, I did something a little bit different at the beginning of the video this time, and I'm not sure if it worked, so let me know in the comments below what you thought of the kind of half-hearted effort at doing a drawing thing. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.